Hello, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While. It's a show in which I chat with authentic, heart-centered experts about interesting topics to spark, inspire, and motivate both personal and professional change. And today we're going to be talking about controlling your destiny because here's the spoiler alert. Yes, you can. This conversation is worth your while if you feel like life is closing in on you, or maybe you're on a trajectory that you don't remember consciously choosing. And maybe pursuing your dreams seems a little scary and out of reach. But guess what? It is never too late to dream a new dream. It's never too late to set a new goal. So you can start today during this conversation because it's going to be really great. You're going to love my guest. So I am Linda Bucher. I am a transformational speaker and a master certified life coach. And guess what? I didn't start controlling my destiny until I was 45 years old. Before then, I was just kind of living the life of a chameleon and feeling like a victim. But then at 45 years old, I set the intention. I was like, oh my God, there's a different life that I'm meant to be living. It's not the one I had been living. And I finally discovered who I am and connected with my passion and my purpose. And then I reinvented my life to align with my true self. And you know what? It made me happier and more confident and more fulfilled. And I know that this can be your life too. You have a rich, full life to lead. You have important gifts to give to the world, and you have a splash to make. So if you want that to happen, you're going to want to get a little conversation with me, which you can easily book right on my website, lindabucher.com/chat with Linda. So, book a conversation. We'll talk all about that. But today I have the pleasure of being joined by a great friend of mine, Obed Bey. He is a motivational speaker. He's an accountability coach, and he is making positive ripples in a very unique way because he helps people to find their best selves, to find the courage to be who they are and to be who they can be. And he helps them to design their lives in accordance with that. So Obed, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really am excited about the conversation.
Me too, because every conversation you and I ever have is like so enlightening for
Yeah.
everyone, and we can't let this go 2 hours like our normal conversations. So, okay, Obed, can you tell our audience just a little bit more about like who you serve and how you are making positive ripples in the world?
Well, as a motivational speaker, I target youth, young adults, and dreamers of all ages. So it's important for me to not just kind of get boxed into just let's just say the 13 to 30s, but also the dreamers. And you find so much passion in those spaces, but I would say that that's pretty much who I am speaking to and speaking with. And as an accountability coach, it's pretty much in that same area.
Yeah, because I'm a dreamer and I'm the kind of person who definitely benefits from accountability because I'm my own boss and my boss is a pushover. So my boss she's like, yes, you can have the day off, of course. So having an accountability partner is a beautiful thing, and I know it's super beneficial for people. I know you've been acting that capacity for a decade for certain people, right? Like every Mondays, like bam, 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 accountability, and then I know you and some of the people that are working with you as accountability partners, and I get to watch them blow up and do beautiful things, watch you blow up and do beautiful things, and accountability and your gifts and skill set is a huge part of that. So awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, well, just it's the same thing. I respond to accountability. You like to think that you can motivate yourself and inspire yourself, but accountability has been a lifesaver for me. I've been in an accountability partnership for 8 years, and it's so much beauty has come out of just that partnership. So accountability is wonderful.
It truly is. Yeah, I completely agree. And so today we're talking about controlling your destiny. And I remember that I was on a trajectory of life that I didn't feel that I consciously chose. And I was like, something's got to give. I don't know what it is, but something's got to give because this is not the right life for me. And part of the big problem is I just, didn't really know who I was. So I couldn't even dream Like, it's like a caterpillar can't dream like a butterfly. It's just impossible. And so I was a caterpillar. And then one day I was like, okay, leaves, bark, yuck, this isn't me anymore. It's not working for me. Like, there's something more. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know it was going to be beautiful pastures of gorgeous flowers all over, and I was going to be free to fly and flutter everywhere that I get to do right now. But all I knew was like, no more leaves, no more bark. Something's happening, and I'm powerless to stop it, but it's scary nonetheless.
Yeah.
So, this is what's happening for a lot of people is there, it's like, it's a little scary. I don't know. Or is it too late? Right.
Yeah.
So, let me hear a little story of yours about maybe you felt that you were on the wrong trajectory, and when you knew like something had to change and shift.
Well, it's a couple, there's a couple layers to it, but I remember a time when I was working for a vocational school and working with some youth and young adults, and I enjoyed the youth and young adults portion of it, but there was a lot of the other stuff that I just didn't enjoy. And I remember not feeling like, you're at work and just feel like, I don't want to be here. I remember that feeling of just like, I don't want to be here, but at the same time, what am I going to do? I'm kind of stuck. I need to be here. You got responsibilities, you have bills. So I just remember that. But the turning point for me really had nothing to do with that. The turning point really happened seven weeks after my daughter was born. And my daughter was born with retinoblastoma, which is a rare eye cancer. And when that happened, we had some dark times and things like that, but then you kind of turn that switch on and you have to get back into positive. But essentially, life was starting over. Essentially, life was starting over. And I had to make a decision at that point, and I was able to find it within myself to go on the path that I knew that I wanted. And I wasn't sure what that was going to look like. I had no idea. I knew I wanted to make an impact. I knew I wanted to make a bigger impact. I had no idea. And then one day it said, okay, you're going to use your voice.
Beautiful, really beautiful. We never really do know what that catalyst is going to be that throws
Yeah.
us into that, I'll go back to my metaphor, to that caterpillar's saliva sleeping bag that they all expand and then hop in and turn into goo. Well, we do not know what's going to throw us into there. For me, it was the death of my husband suddenly, like just one day he didn't wake up, and my kids were little. They were like 3, 5, and 7 years old. And
Yeah.
I remember being in a grief group about 2 months after he passed away, and people were introducing themselves and saying, I'm so and so, and my husband passed away 9 years ago. I'm so and so, my wife passed away 12 years ago. And I'm so and so, my husband passed away 2 months ago. And then immediately I was like, I'm not going to be here 9 years from now, 12 years from now. There's no possible way. I'm going to be healed, and I'm going to be in a new place. And I
Yeah.
remember mentioning, and I was not a coach at the time. I was, I was on that trajectory of just letting life kind of take me along for the ride, just
Yeah.
ride the train. And, but I remember really consciously thinking, and I said it out loud. I said, maybe this void that suddenly happened to me, and maybe to each of us, is actually an opportunity to give us space to discover who we are. And
Mm.
is at a much deeper level, because when you're on that hamster wheel, that train of life, you're just, you think who you are your roles and responsibilities, and that's not true. But I'm like, oh, who are
Yeah.
you? Oh, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm an employee, I'm a project manager, I'm like all those things. But that wasn't the who of me at all. Those were roles and
Yeah.
responsibilities. And
Right.
so I was like, maybe I'm supposed to get to know myself. And that's
There you go.
exactly what happens. That's how you become a butterfly, to get to know, and kind of grow into it. So we never know what's going to throw us into this place, but it's a gift. As hard and dark and difficult as it could be, it's such a
Mm-hmm.
gift, because it's the gift of us learning about who we are so that we can give our gifts and pay them
Yeah.
forward, to give them to other people. So.
Yeah. And you have no idea how that gift is going to present itself. And in your case, my case, the catalyst was something that wasn't necessarily a good thing. And by the way, let me just make sure I let everyone know that my daughter is thriving. She's doing very well. But yeah, you just don't know what that gift is going to be. And if you can listen to it, if you can take that time out and spend some intentional time with yourself, it's very possible to find it. It's there. You just got to give yourself some love.
Absolutely. It's absolutely there.
Yeah.
But before people start to look and say, what is that gift? Who am I, right? They've got to know that it's possible. They've got to believe that it's possible to control their destiny,
Yeah.
right? So let's talk about why it's possible. I'm first going to say, because I'm doing it. And if I can do it, you can do it. Anyone can do it, right? And it's never too late, because I mentioned I was 45 years old before I was like, wait a minute, that's
Yeah.
not the life I'm meant to be living. I was the same way in the corporate world, being in meetings like, why? I don't want to be here at all. And then my body started like, putting a big exclamation point at the end of that. My gallbladder wasn't working very well. My neck and back, I was in pain. I couldn't sit. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. And it was all the stress of being in the wrong life, going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I was 45. So then I made this change, but I couldn't have made this change unless I believed that it was possible. What happened with you, or what would you say that, how do we get into this place of belief?
Well, I think some of it just comes out of support from people around you. Sometimes it can come from that, but I know that, say for instance, with my daughter, you say the big C, cancer, it the belief really snapped in place when I went back to a video of one of my heroes, and my hero basically stood in front of a podium and said, due to the HIV virus I have attained, I must retire from the Lakers today. And my mentor, which I call him Magic Johnson, my mentor, but my hero, he not only stood tall, but he smiled. He smiled in the face of death. And if I could see him do that and stand tall, it made me stand tall. And I knew that it was going to be okay. So I could believe that it was going to be okay. In terms of, speaking and uplifting people, some of it is just the confidence that you have within yourself. And even though it's scary, even though there's some fear behind it, knowing that if it's humanly possible, it's possible for you to do it. No matter how big your goal is, no matter how far reaching your dream may be, it's actually physically possible. You can do it. So I think that that's really where it came from. And it also came through, some research and seeing other people do it and being encouraged by seeing people's success. But just knowing that what I wanted to do was possible, that's all I needed.
Yeah, I would say same thing for me when I said out loud to nobody, I don't know what life I'm meant to be living, but it's not this one. I
Yeah.
I did two things. Two things brought me out of feeling like a victim and living like a chameleon. And when I was living like a victim, I didn't seem like a victim to people who knew me. Because I was wear my fancy martyr crown and spruce up my outfit all the time. I'd be like, can you believe all this stuff? Oh my God, I'm like a widow. I have little kids. Oh my God. I was like, people like that, right? We're still victims when we're like that, right? But to move from victim to hero, to see things differently, because the victim in me said, this happened to me and that happened to me and the other thing happened to me. But the hero doesn't say that. The hero says, when this happened, I did this. And when that happened, I did that. When this happened, I did this. So the hero is aware of their reaction and what they're doing, what they do in the face of adversity. The hero recognizes that adversity didn't make them stronger. It showed them how strong they already are.
Yeah.
And so I had to do just two things to go from victim to hero, right? To be able to be in charge of my destiny. And that was to set the intention to do so. That was it. You got I intend, I'm all done. I'm all done being where I am. Tomorrow, when you look in Victimville, I won't be here. The population of one Linda, she's not going to be here. Tomorrow it's going to be an empty prison cell. Okay, all done. So my intention was to leave, but I couldn't have had that intention until I believed that it could be true. So it's like the belief continuum. That's what I call this. At one end of the belief continuum is like impossible, not bloody likely when pigs fly. And then somewhere in the middle is possible. And then it moves on from there. But I'll talk about this end first. This end is a corridor with no doors or no windows. Impossible, not bloody likely when pigs fly. When you're down at that end, you can't see possible because there's no doors and no windows. You're just in this corridor hallway, and that's it. It's just very confining. And it's very narrow. And when you get towards the middle and you get to possible, as soon as you get there, now there's a little window to look out of, and you can see like, huh, it is possible. It's possible for this person and that person. And if it's possible for them, maybe it's possible for me. How'd they do it? How'd he do it? How'd she do it? Right. And when we can see this, then we can start to move a little further down the belief continuum where the windows are bigger. Right. And now we're like, oh, now this is likely. It's likely that I can do this big thing. It's likely that I can control the trajectory of my life. It's likely that I'm good enough, smart enough, like it's worthy enough, like it's likely. And then it's probable, right? Then we're moving down, and now the door, now we're getting like some doors, right? It's probable.
Yeah.
There's like I could probably step through that door. I think I could step through that door. And then inevitable, which isn't even the end, because inevitable is like this beautiful, big, giant door, big, wide door, right? It's inevitable that I can do this. But beyond it is the end of this, the very end, there's no wall. It's wide open. And that's the space of it's already done. When we feel that energetically, oh my God, just say it out loud, like it's already done. Whatever you dream, it's already done. That's what it takes.
No, it belongs to you. It belongs to you. See, the thing is, when what you're talking about is you believing that it's possible, whatever that thing is, right? But number one, you've got to understand that it belongs to you already because it came to you. If it wasn't possible, if it wasn't meant for you, it wouldn't have come to you. It wouldn't have come to you. And believing is one thing, but also I believe I'm a champion. You've got to believe that you're a champion, and champions deserve the championship. So you've got to believe it, but you've got to know that it belongs to you. And then grab the door, open it, and walk through it. Start where you stand.
You're really talking about declaring. I love that. There's so much power in just the declaration. A lot of people use affirmations, and the problem to me with affirmations is you don't believe them. So if you don't believe them, then all they're doing is signaling lack, something you don't believe or don't have yet. So I don't love them. I love declarations. Let's talk about what's true, let's declare it. So I absolutely love that, and so we're talking about destiny. And you mentioned that you've got to, love yourself, right? Love yourself enough to do what you love. You've got to have the courage. You got to stand up like Magic Johnson. You've got to have this courage, right, to go through with it. And you also mentioned that, and the way I put it is we've each been entrusted by the universe with something important. It wouldn't have been given to us if we weren't also given the ability to bring it to fruition.
Yeah.
Right. So as soon as we start saying this, then people are like, yeah, but. What yeah buts do you run across?
Yeah, but there's not enough time. Yeah, but I'm too old. Yeah, but I got bills. Yeah, but I got kids. Yeah, but. So you can come up with all the buts in the world, but at some point, when are you going to start? When are you going to remove the buts? When are you going to find space for you? I truly believe that you have to love yourself enough to love what you do. If it's possible for you. So you have to love yourself enough to just kind of keep going. And despite the buts, I've got a lot of things that I can put in the but category. But you know what? There's 24 hours in a day. At one point, I used to I had myself convinced that I was not a morning person, right? And then life kind of kicks you in the butt, and you got to get up in the morning. And I remember at one point I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, I'm getting it done. I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And then, I walk by the mirror and I realized I wasn't getting enough done. So I started getting up at 4 and I'm feeling good about myself. I'm getting some stuff done, but I walked by the mirror again and I realized I still wasn't getting enough done. So I started getting up at 3. So all those buts, you can keep those butts in front of you, but you got to take those butts and move them to the side and find space to walk forward into the purpose that belongs to you. It belongs to you, but so you have to claim it. It's not going to just happen because you're nice and you're pretty and people like you.
Claim it. I love it. Absolutely. Well, I claim my pillow till about 8:30 a.m. every morning. But it's not unusual for me to be finding a fit of inspiration and doing some great work at 11 at night. But I know you're probably land by then.
I have to be.
Yeah. So my creative genius happens later in the day, usually after 4 p.m. is my biggest creative genius. So yeah. Oh, so that's very beautiful. Okay. So, all right. So we're talking about claiming the life that you're meant to live, heeding the call of the purpose that you've been given. But a lot of people don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the first opportunity to talk about, where do you start if you don't know where to start?
Yeah. And I think that's a problem for many people. You just don't know, or you don't think that you don't think you know. A part of it, I believe, is just spending some intentional time with yourself. You've got to dive in to you. Give yourself some attention and some love. And the way that I believe you can start is think about the things that you love. Think about the things that you enjoy. Think about the things that you do really well or do without any effort. Think about those things. Think about when you were a kid. Think about the things that you enjoyed when you were a kid, when you were just having fun with your friends and just making up stuff. Think about those things, and that's going to give you an idea of kind of where that needle for you is. And as you think about those things, I encourage you to make a list of them, all of them, write them all down. And if you can make that list, you've got some good meat there, and dive into that list and explore that list. And within that list, I mean, it may not happen in a day, it may not happen in a month or even a year, but within that huge list is your dream. Is the thing that can give you some energy and passion, where getting up in the morning to do it, you're going to be excited. So that starts with your dream.
Yes, it does. I have, I used to have a program called Find Your Wow way back, like 14 years ago when I started as a coach. And it was for people like, I don't know what's next. I know it's not this, but I don't know what's next. Like, it's not just find your what's next. How about we find your wow? Like that's the thing, right? Because that's what I want for my kids. I want them to find their wow. And I don't call it that anymore, but we're still always doing. But it really had a very similar path, which was I had a series of many questions. What do you do when you're losing time? Like, what are you doing when you're losing, when it's like, oh my God, time flies, right? When do you feel the most you? What's your favorite physical activity? Right? I mean, these types of questions, but then I take it one step further. I say, why? So I remember I was given a talk to a high school about Find Your Wow, and it was for the juniors and seniors in the high school. And I was taking them through this, and I said, does anybody want to give an example of something they love doing? And a boy raised his hand, a young man, and he said, I love skiing. And I'm like, oh, I love skiing. Why do you love skiing? And he said, because I want to conquer the mountain. I want to conquer it. I like to ski right on the edge because I like to know what I'm made of, you know. And he goes, and I like to go fast.
There you go.
And I'm like, I love skiing, but I don't want to conquer the mountain. I want to commune with the mountain. And I said, I don't want to ski on that bleeding edge. That's what I call, because that's what happened to me. If I was on that edge, I'd be bleeding seconds later. I want to ski in a rhythm. As a matter of fact, I'm always humming the Beatles' Norwegian Wood, because that's my flow for skiing. That's the tempo I ski at, right? That's when my turns go to Norwegian Wood. And I said, and I don't want to go fast. I want I want to go at a speed enough where I can look at the horizon, where I can look at the sky, I can see the blue, I can look over at the snow-covered pines and just bring them in without crashing. That's the speed I want to
Yeah.
go with. I said, so
Yeah.
can you see how we learned a little bit more about you and a little bit more about me, and we're completely unique, but we both love skiing. So to say I love skiing, I should be a ski instructor is not how you find your wow, it's the why. That's where the
Yeah.
clues are.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
it's
that's
a
no, that's
beautiful thing.
awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome. I mean, within that wow and that why, I mean, that's where it is. That's the sweet spot right there, because
Hmm.
that's what's gonna encourage or give you hopefully the courage to step forward. That thing that makes you go wow, that thing that really gets you going and gives you energy that you love. I mean, it's so much easier to do the things that you love, versus going to work and saying, oh, I hate Monday, you know. um so yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in the same space in terms of the wow and the why. So that's awesome. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I love that you're bringing up courage again, because courage doesn't mean don't be afraid. It means act in the face of fear. That's what it means.
Yeah.
Like, yes, when I quit my super high paying job to go back to school, become a life coach as a widow of three small kids, and my parents thought I was absolutely crazy. Like, what? You don't have any income. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And, it took courage. The courage was to bet on myself. I was like, okay, so I'm 45 years old. And when I graduated from college, the only thing I owned was like $1,000 value car. I
Mm.
was renting it, owned nothing else. That was it. And I didn't have a job, but I was looking for one. But I thought the sky's the limit, and I was betting on myself at 21 years old. Now I'm 45. Then I was younger and stupider. Now I'm a little smarter. I think I got a lot more experience. I'm more mature. I kind of know what I'm made of. I
Mm.
can do this again. Whatever I've amassed and what I've done and what I've learned and how I've grown in the last, 24 years since then, I can do this again. So that's how I bet on myself. I didn't just have to draw for some courage that came from nowhere. The courage came from within me because I was like, I've already done this. I can do it again. Look what I've accomplished. So another thing that I'll do when I'm helping the clients to get to know who they are is the same type of
Mhm.
thing. Let's look back and see how far you've come. Let's learn about you by how far you've come. And I have this fun little exercise I like to give them. It's like 5 questions, and
Mhm.
it's answered in the exact same format. It's like I call it Linda's Mad Libs. So, you fill in the blank with the Mad Libs. Okay. I didn't used to know blank, but now I know blank because blank. And then we do
Okay.
it with no, be, do, have. I didn't used to be this, but now I am this because this. I didn't used to be able to do this, but now I can do this because, and I used to be able to have this, but now I can have this because, right? So as you're filling those in, you're learning even more about yourself. And this is how we build the courage to follow our dreams and to create our own destinies.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, in terms of the courage, a lot of times you've just got to be okay. So a lot of times we're afraid of failure, a lot of times the potential of failure. And sometimes the courage is just going to come with a little bit of the belief part of it, with reflecting on some times when you were able to show courage, and not necessarily physical courage, but just knowing that you've done it before, that you showed up and you pushed yourself over the top. So the courage is going to come with that. And by all means, look, if the thing that you want to do doesn't scare you a little bit, I mean, you're not playing, you're playing small. You're playing small
Mhm.
ball. So you want to challenge yourself, to live a bigger life, dream colossal dreams, and know that you can do that, because again, we go back to the fact that it's possible.
Mhm.
So, don't be afraid because you feel a little anxiety, and you feel a little scared. That's actually a good thing. That means you're challenging yourself.
Yes.
And as you move forward and take one step, you're going to feel a little less of that feeling. And as you take 2 steps and 3 steps and 4 steps, but the thing is to start and to take a step, don't just stick your feet in the pool and, run away. You got to get all the way in.
You do. It's true. I heard something one time and it resonated a lot with me. Instead of being worried about failing, because failing is, people feel shame themselves, but then they're also, everyone else is looking at me now. Look,
Yeah.
oh, now everyone saw me fail. Instead, I'm not afraid to be seen trying.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
And listen, Linda, one of the things, there's a misconception, and we use the word failure a lot, but failure is a good thing. Failure, those are actually the steps you have to go through to get to where you want to be. Failure are steps on the road to success.
Mm-hmm.
Without those failures, how do you know, how are you going to grow? So I encourage my daughter and my son as he gets older, fail and fail a lot. Don't be afraid to fail. Who cares what other people think? A lot of times people put their fears on you, and as they put their fears on you, it kind of backs you further into a corner. But embrace those failures. Embrace
Right.
those failures. I equate a lot of to basketball. And if you miss a shot or two and now you're afraid to continue playing and afraid to shoot, you'll never make another one. But if you have the courage to maybe fail again, you may hit the next 3 or 4 or 5 in a row. So, have the courage to fail.
Right. Failing, we fail forward because
Yeah.
failing shows us where we need to make the tweaks. Right.
Yeah.
In your basketball shot, like, oh, that was a little to the left. I wonder why. Oh, maybe I rolled my wrist the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about basketball, but say I did.
But no,
Right.
you're
So like,
absolutely
oh,
right.
now I get it. And then now when it's working, you can just keep it, but you wouldn't have known about those. No one's born knowing how to do anything. No, we don't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
Right. So so failing forward, a really important
You
concept.
got to get on, I had to get on stage and screw it up a couple of times to realize, okay, that's not working. Let me go back and figure out something else to do. But if you never put yourself in a position to learn, really, it's going to be hard to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely. So we're not going to be afraid to be seen trying, right?
Yes.
And we
Yes.
know that we fail forward. So that's a positive thing. We're going to see
Absolutely.
failure in a whole new way. And we are going to discover who we are, because then we'll discover the strength we have. And that's how we can cultivate the courage that we need to follow our dreams and create the destiny, right? Be in charge of the destiny of our lives, because we are creating it every single day as we move forward. And it's never too late, because we can start right from where we are.
Yes.
So this has been such a wonderful conversation, Obed. I
Yeah.
always love speaking with you. And I know, like, when it comes to accountability, that maybe you have something you might want to offer to our audience. So I'd love if you would tell us a little bit about what that is.
Well, one of the things I would love to do is get you on the phone. If you have something that you want to talk about, if you're not sure where to start, let's get on the phone for 30 minutes and let's kind of explore where you are, where you might want to be, and see how we can move forward, potentially how you can move forward, really, in pursuing whatever your destiny and kind of grabbing a hold of that is. So I'd love to offer a conversation, a clarifying conversation. Let's get on the phone for 30 minutes.
That's beautiful. I will put the link to your website and for your socials so people can connect with you on those platforms and reach out and have a little clarifying conversation with you. So that'll be great. So awesome. All right. Well, what a great show. What a great conversation. I enjoyed it so much. So I want to say thank you to Obed. I want to say thank you to our listeners. And once again, I am Linda Bucher, a transformational speaker and a master certified life coach. And I'm on a mission to inspire and impact millions of people. I know that's lofty, isn't it? But I'm going big. Millions of people to know their worth, to share their gifts, and to deliberately create big, beautiful ripples in the world. So if you feel stuck, or you feel unworthy, or you feel unfulfilled, or you feel out of alignment in your life or career, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know how strong you are, I would love to have a conversation with you. And you can just book that, and it's just totally complimentary. And you can book a conversation with me right on my website, lindabucher.com/chat-with-Linda. So that's our show. Please come back next week for another life-changing topic to help you grow. And until next time, please subscribe and make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.